Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. My name is Julia Simpson, and today we're going to be talking about the Power Platform for the retail industry. As I said, my name is Julia Simpson. I'm one of the Power Platform and finance consultants at HSO. But more interesting, we have Ashley Brannigan.
Hello, hi everyone. My name's Ashley Brannigan, and I'm a retail consultant at HSO. I've been with HSO for over 8 years. I'm also going to be working alongside my colleague Simon.
Hi everyone, I'm Simon Shull. I'm also a retail consultant at HSO and I've been with the company 6 months.
Wonderful. So, as we have wonderful experience here on the call, so we have a very exciting agenda for you all. So what are we going to be covering off? Well, we're going to have the obligatory what is the Power Platform. So for anyone that is curious about the Power Platform, we're going to cover over the elements that make it up. We're going to talk about the virtual agent chatbot, and Ashley is going to do an amazing demonstration that he's pulled together. Then Simon is going to show us his click and collect app, which is very, very exciting. I'm then going to do a quick little demonstration for you about how easy it is to use Power Automate to help make your life that little bit better. And then we're going to talk about how to get started. So starting off, what is the Power Platform? Well, generally speaking, when you buy a software, particularly an ERP software, there's only so many problems that can be solved with this standalone software. As you know, guys know, we try to go towards vanilla, so no developments. But you do sometimes need to do a development, and that's where, say, ISVs or different development options could come into place, third-party add-ons in that situation. But again, they're only built for so many processes or one process. And so again, you only have a couple more blocks filled in your business journey. And this is where everything else is a missed opportunity. So all of these white blocks represent different scenarios or different solutions that you could be using to help make your business more efficient. Now, often people will get like little third-party add-ons, little bolt-ons that help them. And by the end of the day, or by after a couple of years, you could find yourself having many, many different solutions that are disconnected as well and running up a very large cost for your business. So this is where the Power Platform comes into play. The Power Platform is Microsoft's solution to the low-code, no-code citizen developer movement that is coming out. It really does put the power back into the user's hands. It has four main components to it. So we have Power BI. Now, this is something that hopefully you guys are all very well used to and understand. BI itself is a massive movement, and there's so much that we can do with BI. And Power BI is Microsoft's BI offering. We have Power Apps, and they're an ability to build exactly what you think it is, little applications that can be used on mobile, tablets, or web to help do an element in your business. Power Automate is a wonderful solution which helps to really, as it says, automate your business processes. And really importantly for retail guys, we have Power Virtual Agents. So I'm going to cover over all of these and a little bit more, but I also wanted to mention that supporting these four tools, we have some really cool options such as data connectors, the AI builder, the common data service, and mixed reality. I'm not going to cover them a lot because I do have some slides for you later on. Now, the really cool thing about the Power Platform is how well it's connected. It works 100% perfectly with Dynamics 365, either be it CE, sales, or finance, or supply chain. It works wonderfully with anything within the Office 365 stack, and of course with Azure. But the really cool thing is also that it works with other business applications and other data sources as well. So you don't have to be 100% Microsoft to use it. Now, there's a lot of benefits to using low-code tools. The key one really is that we have increased agility. Something that doesn't require code means that you can get it out and getting tested and looking at it so much more quicker. And because you're doing this a lot quicker, you're making a lot of savings. We're going to reduce our time and our costs in our building, reduce the time that we spend analyzing, because the guys are going to be looking at it quickly and efficiently. And you can review it and build, review, build, review, build. It's a very agile way of working, which again can be quite cheap if you keep your scope in line. And most importantly, efficiency. Because we are now using this one platform tool to help you with all your little business options, we're connecting everything. So all our little boxes, they're more now connected rather than separated. And what this means is that it really gives your users the ability to focus on what they do well, rather than the technology that's stopping them. So, Power Apps, the low code, no code approach. Anyone that's used PowerPoint or Excel can use Power Apps, particularly Canvas apps. It's very much like PowerPoint and Excel had a baby. We can use a whole bunch of different data connectors to connect to different databases, and we can use those to do create, read, update, and delete problems. It has a lot of security and governance behind it. Every time you sign in, you have to go through the authentication. And from there, if you can't do something manually, it's never going to let you do it automatically. And also, it lets us take things onto the mobile. So you can design apps that are designed for your mobile or for a tablet or even for the web browser. There are free options when it comes to building Power Apps, and essentially each of these options have different pros and cons to them. Canvas apps are what we call pixel perfect, or what you see is what you get. They are a lot of fun and they can connect to pretty much anything. Then we have model-driven apps. Model-driven apps are the enterprise-graded solutions. They look identical to CRM or sales, all of the CE offerings. They are actually model-driven apps. So you can create your own model-driven app to completely integrate with your current offerings and your current solutions. It's designed for high-volume, multiple business processes. And the new kid to the block is portals. Now, this is really cool, this functionality. Portals are using common data service, and essentially it creates exactly what you think it is, a portal. Now, that portal you can use so that people outside of your tenant can use, because both Canvas apps and model-driven apps require portals, require your users to be part of your tenant. Whereas portals you can get set up so that people outside your organization can start helping you out with your business processes. Right, Power Automate. This is the next one that's in our list of things, and this is really fun and really cool. Essentially, it works off the concept of triggers and actions. So a trigger would be something like I receive an email, I press a button, a record gets created. All of these are triggers, and we can do something with that. From there, we can then do an action. So again, what will we do? Well, maybe we send an alert, maybe we get approval, maybe we send another email. Maybe we save the file, or maybe we create a new file or a new record. And these use a bunch of standard connectors that come all throughout the system, the same ones in Power Apps. And again, a whole bunch of security and governance around it. So if you couldn't do this manually, you're not going to be able to do it automatically. There are 5 types of Power Automate flows, which are all very useful to talk about. So we have automated flows. So automated flows are essentially exactly what you think. They get triggered by an event, so an email arriving, a record being created, a record being deleted, a status changing. We then have instant flows. Instant flows are someone pushes a button, someone presses OK on an app. They happen exactly when you tell it to happen. Schedule flows are fantastic, especially if you have something that you have to do every day. So, for example, we're going to be doing a scheduled flow later on where we're going to pull out all the transfer order lines. We want that to happen every morning. Business process flows are used within model-driven apps, but they can also be used within Canvas apps, and they're there to help guide a user along a journey. So, for example, onboarding a customer, maybe you want to do a credit check, then you want to run through some trading history and send them out some documents. You can use a business process flow to help them along that process. And finally, we have UI flows. UI flows are the new kids to the block in the Power Automate offering. And what that does is it brings the world and non-cloud applications into flow. So for example, what you could do is you can, if you have a legacy system or a legacy solution where you don't have any connectors or you don't have any internet to it, you can use UI flows to help you with that process. Power BI. Power BI is the colorful, beautiful dashboarding tool of your dreams. It is amazing. We have an entire BI team that's out there and able to help us. We can use BI to connect to any data source, and it copes really well with large data sources. And from there, you can join up your tables, you can create reports, dashboards. It's absolutely amazing what you can do with the solutions. There's a lot that we can help you out with there. And what's really exciting, I should say, for the Power Platform team is the Power Virtual Agents. It really is something that you can get started with really, really quickly, and it's designed to enable natural conversations between your customers and your staff. It can be embedded onto websites, and it helps people. It helps your subject matter experts to try and automate the process. So rather than having to answer questions through chatbots that they always answer, you could use Power Virtual Agents to start off that process. And the coolest thing about this is there's no coding required. Supporting all of the Power Platform, we have data connectors. Data connectors are amazing tools that help give the Power Platform its really, to be honest, its power. There's data connectors for pretty much anything that you could want. And if there aren't data connectors already as standard, if you have an API, you could build your own data connector. And it's not just Microsoft products that have data connectors. There are a bunch of connectors that are outside of the Microsoft ecosystem. So for example, we're talking Salesforce, Oracle, and even SAP. But of course, pretty much every Microsoft tool has some sort of data connector. From there, you can use those data connectors to do things such as retrieve an email, send an email, list the records on a table. And again, depending on what your data connector is, you are a whole bunch of different options. There's even data connectors for transforming Word files into PDFs. The AI Builder is another really, really cool tool that shows a lot of promise. It has 4 elements to it. The binary classification. So that is where we can have a look at some different fields within CDS. And from there, it is going to give you a yes or a no or a true or a false sort of answer. So you can analyze through them, and it helps with prediction. Form processing, we can get a digital PDF and we can create a form from that, or we can create Excel, using different Word documents and templates. We can then create forms and have those populated. Object detection, really, really cool for retailers. You can train the AI model to pick up what maybe a can of soft drink looks like, or a particular shoe, what it looks like. And from there, you can take pictures from there, and it can start to do a bit of object detection and counting for you. So maybe you train it to look at what a bottle of soft drink looks like. You take a picture of a shelf, and it can say, well, I've notified and I've seen 12 bottles of soft drink. Text classification, really cool as well. It looks at a piece of a picture or an image, and it takes out the text from there, which you can then use to do stuff within your different entities. The Common Data Service is what understands a lot of the Power Platform. Now, if you are using any of the CE offerings, you've already got the Common Data Service going. It's where all your records are stored. It's a fantastic tool with a bucket load of security behind it, and it is what Microsoft recommends for using for your database storage. What's really cool for those who use finance and operations is we now have the concept of dual write, which is real-time bi-directional updating. So you create a record in CDS, you create a record in FinOps. And the reason that it's all so cool is means you can now have these amazing out-of-the-box apps, model-driven apps, Canvas apps that work directly with FinOps data and give the users a unified experience. Finally, we have the last little element, which is mixed reality. Now, this is in preview, but it shows so much promise and it looks so cool. It's going to help users within Canvas apps bring the Canvas app into the real world. So, for example, we can take measurements of different buildings, which is great for construction, or we can see how a retail showcase would fit within the store and what it would look like within the store. It's really, really cool. And it's fantastic that Microsoft are bringing what usually would be advanced development tools into the hands of what we refer to as citizen developers. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Ashley.
Thank you, Julia. So what we're going to go through next is virtual agents. And what we're going to do is dive through a couple of scenarios in a very much retail context. And what we're going to really start with is the very common scenario, where is my order? A very frequent asked question from the customer. But then what we're actually going to do is go a bit deeper and actually look at, well, how could Power Virtual Agents help to empower my customers to be able to perform some self-service operations themselves, and in turn reduce the common workloads that impact the customer service advisors so frequently. So just as a solution process overview, the sort of scenarios we're going to go through is we're going to start with the customer and how they're going to initiate the conversation. What that's going to do is it's going to engage the Power Virtual Agent, and that's going to use something called conversational AI to be able to identify what's the nature of the customer's query and how then best to ask the questions to gauge and assist the customer. Now, as part of that process, what we're also going to be doing is we're going to be tapping into wider parts of the Power Platform. And what it's really going to do is illustrate the sort of seamless integration points with Power Automate and how we can flow information to and from our back office application. And then what we're also going to do is actually look at, how that information then is reviewed back in the back office application. So Dynamics 365, finance and operations. So let's get straight to it. Let's get into the technology and have a look. So Power Virtual Agents, these are chatbot experiences that are no-code, low-code experiences. These enable, from an external perspective, our end customers to be able to freely speak with a bot in a natural and conversational way, and for the bot to leverage AI to be able to respond and assist customers, again, in a natural return of conversation. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with, where is my order? A very common, very typical, very much necessary question that our customers love to ask and understand where their order is. So I'm going to engage with the bot. So where is my order? And what the bot's going to do is it's going to start to ask me questions to help understand more about who I am and what I'm looking for and what information it needs to assist me. So it's going to now ask me for what is my order number. And in this instance, I have an order number. So I'm just going to provide. As follows. And now what the bot's capable of doing is it's actually going to use Power Automate. So it's actually calling back into the back office application to send information in, such as the order number. And what it's able to do is actually retrieve the information in terms of what status my order is in. So in this instance, it's been delivered. And when, as a customer, I can expect my order to arrive. So if I go back into my back office application, what the chatbot has managed to do through Power Automate is be able to send in my order number information. And from there, what I can see is that it's managed to pull back the status of my order being delivered, and also when I can expect the goods to arrive based on the requested ship date in this instance. All of which has been achieved with no code, not a single line of development, and all of which has been configured. But really, what we really want to look at is how we can go further. How can we actually use the technology of Power Virtual Agents to start to empower our end customers? How can we actually allow the customer to start to perform some self-service operations that they would typically have to contact a customer service advisor over the phone, queue and wait, and go through a much longer process? How can we actually bring some of that forward and allow our end customers to just do that more freely? Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to open up the actual experience of a Power Virtual Agent. And as you can see, is that it's a graphical experience. It's a drag and drop, easily configurable experience that anyone who isn't technical or from a development background can actually start to build themselves. Right, so the next scenario we're going to go into is how do we empower our customer to perform a self-service operation? And what I'd like to do is be able to update my customer details, so not having to go through the customer contact service route, but be able to do this myself as if I was logged into my own account. So I'm going to engage with the bot and ask it that I want to update my details. And what the bot does using conversational AI is that it's able to infer the nature of my inquiry. So I can provide a very ambiguous request and it is able to distinguish what I'm trying to inquire into and get assistance upon. So the nature of my query today is that I would like to update my email address. And you can see it offers me various branches of inquiries that I can perform or actions that I'd like to undertake. So it would now like to provide my customer account number. And as I touched upon, it is possible that this can be initiated as part of a signed in account experience, or the bot can actually prompt for a user to sign into their account. So full end user authentication is supported for the security minded. And what the bot's actually now doing is it's actually working with Power Automate to be able to call back into the back office application, and it's able to retrieve the customer information. And in this instance, it's now just telling me what my current email address is. And what I'm now going to do is actually provide it with the new value. So in this instance, I need to correct it because for whatever reason, it has the wrong email address on my account. So I'm just going to provide it with a new value. And again, what the bot's doing, so no code integration, this has all been configured, is through Power Automate. It's actually been making an update back into the back office application. So if I just switch back through to my back office application, and in this instance, this is Dynamics 365 for finance and operations. I'm just going to look at my customer account. And as you can see, the email address on my particular customer account has been automatically updated based on my engagement through the Power Virtual Agent. Now, if we go back to Power Virtual Agent, what it's also capturing is lots of key data. So if there's anything I want to assist with in this instance, which is no, did it answer my question? In this instance, it did. It's capturing how satisfied I am as a customer. So in this case, I'm very happy with how the bot's handled my inquiry. Now, what's the sort of usefulness and relevance of all that information? Well, it captures key data-driven analytics. So behind the bot, core metrics such as the number of dropouts, the general customer satisfaction rates, are all being captured behind the hood. And this information is crucial because then we can use it to refine and tweak and improve the experience of our virtual bots when engaging with our customers. Okay, for our next section, what we're going to be looking at is the click and collect with Simon.
Thanks, Ash. So what we're going to look at now is how we can use Power Apps to help manage an omni-channel order scenario. So the scenario we're talking about here is that a customer places an order to collect from their local store. And what we're going to use a Power App for is to help manage our in-store process and to enable communication to the customer to let them know when the order is ready to collect. So let's look at how this solution is going to work. So first of all, the customer is going to place their order to collect from store. Now this can be through any of the sales channels, online, over the phone, and it can be through any system. The reason it can be through any system is because we're going to integrate the order information into CDS. What this means is our app is a standalone app. It's not tied into any particular back-end solution. Once that happens and the order information is in CDS and the stock is physically available to collect from store, so that may be that it's sent from our central warehouse or the stock is picked from a store, a member of the back office stockroom team will open up the Power App, whether that be on a handheld device or a back office machine, to mark the order as arrived. This will trigger an email to the customer to let them know the order is ready to collect. This will then allow the customer to arrive into store to collect their order and then send a confirmation email to confirm the collection. So let's jump into the Power App and have a look. So as you can see here, we've already branded this using all of our customer specific information. This is a Canvas app that we're using here. So it's just drag and drop design. It's no code to do this. It's just like designing a PowerPoint slide. The first screen we're presented over here is our store selection list. Now what this allows us to do is to filter down the order information in the CDS entity to only show what's specific to our store. So I'm going to click next here. And then let's look at this from an order flow. So the order has been placed, the information has been extracted, and the stock is now ready to collect. So what someone's going to do is they're going to search for the order number that's ready. You're going to open it up. You're going to mark it as arrived. And they're just going to leave some comments to help other people in the store know whereabouts that stock is located. So we'll say it's in the top shelf, the stock room. And when I click update, a few things are going to happen. So the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to mark the order as arrived off of this checkbox. We're going to stamp the date and time that it arrived. And then the second thing it's going to do, it's going to trigger a HTML email to the customer to let them know the order is ready to collect and some collection instructions. And it's going to navigate back to our order list. Let's update here. And here's an example email. So we've generated it using information out of CDS to tell them the collection address, the contact number, what they need to bring to collect, and some order specific information. How have we managed to achieve this? Well, in our Power App, we have created a HTML template, which we can then extract our order information from and send it out. So it means that we can reuse this template over and over again. We can change the design as much as we like to do. So now the customer has received their email and they've come into store to collect their order. They've arrived in store and they're going to speak to a member of the shop floor team, whether that be someone on the shop floor with a handheld or going to the point of sale. They can open up the same Power App application because it can be published to any device, and they're going to search for the same order number. Like so. Except this time, they're going to mark it as collected, and they're going to click Update. This again, using one of those HTML templates, is going to generate a different email to let them know what's being collected, just so they've got the confirmation there. We might want to add in some marketing material here or a survey to see how we've done today. Now that we've done that, you can see that that order has dropped off of our list of open orders. And it's quite important for retail. What we don't want is lots and lots of relevant information. We want to target this to just what we need to see at that point in time. Now, as you can see here, we've got a numbering system and some color schemes to help us know how long that order has been sitting there ready to collect. What this allows us to do is, from a store point of view, we can get a quick glimpse of what orders need our attention straight away. So you can see here that this number 7 here is red, which means he's been waiting to collect for 7 days. So we can now assume the customer's not going to collect this parcel. So we can open it up, we can mark it as uncollected and click Update. And this will send a different email to again let the customer know that the refund process has started. You can also see that we've got some amber number in here. This means that we've got a couple of days left before that order has expired. So again, we might want to re-trigger another email to let the customer know that it's still there ready to collect. And that's all been possible through Power Apps. And as Julia touched on earlier, when we talk about Power Apps, we talk about that iterative approach to development. So we go it live with what we need straight away. And it could be as simple as what we've got here. And then it might be that over time we find new features that we want to add. For example, we might want to only show orders that haven't been arrived in store yet. And that's all possible by doing this iterative approach. Get live what you need now and just keep on adding on to it. And because we're talking about omni-channel here, we're not just using this for in-store teams. We might want to have a global view for customer service, for example, to view order information. This isn't tied down to a particular store. They can search for that same order number and see the same information that an in-store team would, which is something that usually we don't see. So now I'm going to hand back over to Julia for the rest of the presentation.
Thanks very much for that, Simon. That was an amazing demonstration. I hope you guys have seen what both Ashley and Simon, who aren't technical people, have been able to do. It's really quite impressive. So to wrap this all up, I'm going to show you a very quick little flow. It's only going to really have about 3 different steps. And I have consulted with the guys and they all think that this is a relevant one for retail industries. So we're going to jump in and we're going to create it. So we're going to navigate to flow.microsoft.com. Otherwise, it's also known as Power Automate. From here, we have a menu button down the side and we're going to create a brand new flow. There are a whole bunch of standard out-of-the-box templates, so please have a look at the templates because there could be one already set up there. So all you have to do is click on Create. But for me, I'm going to create this manually. Now, I wanted a schedule flow because I want this flow to run every morning at 8:30. I'm going to call this flow, what is going to be received today? And I want this flow to start, well, it can start tomorrow, that's fine. And I want it to happen at 8:30 in the morning. And I'm going to repeat that every one day. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to click on Create. And we can see up the top here, yes, we have it runs every day. If I click on Edit, I click on the advanced options and it's saying Oh, it didn't pull it through, so we can just click on 8:30. So it's going to run every day at 8:30. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the items on the transfer order line so I can see what's going to be coming in. So for this, I'm going to connect to the Dynamics 365 environment for finance and supply chain connector. And here I can see I have a whole range of options. So I could create a record, I could delete, or I could even do an action. What I want though is to list all items in a table because I want to have a look at the transfer order line table. Now, what we need to do then is we need to tell it which environment we want to connect to. So this environment has to be within your tenant. So I'm going to connect to my sales environment. And after that, I need to find out the entity or the table name. So I want the transfer order lines, and I'll select that. Now, this is the part that is a little bit harder, and that is the filter query. The filter queries themselves are maybe a little bit more technical, but what I want to do really for this filter query is essentially filter all my lines so that I only see the received ones. Now you can have multiple queries, and if you're familiar with OData queries, you can also use those. I've got my filter query saved over to a side here, and I'll show you what it is. So for this, what I want to do is I want to filter where the line status is equal to ship or shipping. This essentially means that it's been sent out from our head office and it's going to be coming in. From here, the next thing I want to do is I want to put all the records into a table just to make it look a little bit prettier for me on my email. So if I type in create, again, we've got a whole bunch of options here. There's too many options there, so I'll type in table. I'm going to click on data operations and I'm going to create my XML table. So it's going to ask me then, what am I going to create my XML table from? And I say, well, I wanted to create it from the stuff that we got on the previous record. So I'll click on values. Now here's what we can do. It's automatically going to create our column for you, but the transfer order line entity has a lot of fields. I don't really want to have them all. I mostly want to have the transfer order number, the item number, and the quantity. And when you go over here to the side, here are all of the fields. As I said, there are a lot of them that you can see on the transfer order. So if I scroll through here, I can start typing in. I know I want the transfer order. Here we go, transfer order number. And that's now popping it into that column there. I now want the item number as well. So I can type in item. And here we go, item number here. And I'm going to click on quantity. I want to have the shipped quantity because I want to know what's coming into me. So now that I've created my little HTML table with the fields that I want, I just need to send myself that email. So using the Office 365 email, I'm going to click on send an email. So who do I want to send this to? Well, I just want to send it to me, to be honest with you, but maybe I can also include Ashley, or I can include certain people in my team. If you have a shared mailbox, you could put that in there too. Orders arriving today. Okay. And then in the body of the email, I'm just going to put in my HTML table from before. What we can do is we can always add attachments, we can change the importance, there's a whole bunch that we can do. We can also format this if we needed to, but for the purpose of this, quick and easy, that's all we need to do. So this is now going to, after I click save, it's going to run every day at 8:30. But to prove to you that I'm not lying, I'm just going to run it right now. So when we click on test, we can say, oh, yep, do it for me. I'm going to perform the trigger. Okay, and we're going to run it. Okay, so it's done the first step. So now it's moving on to the second step, where it's going to get all the items in the table. So it's gotten all our items based on the filters and the criteria that we've told it to. And it's created our HTML table before sending us an email. So we can see at any stage if any of these problems stop, it'll give us and help us guide us to what the problem is. So over here, I now have the email that I just typed up. So we have the transfer order number, the item number, and the quantity. So maybe some modifications that we need to do, but it's a good starter on showing you on how easy the process is to get started. So if you want to know how to get started, this is where we can help you out. The biggest thing I can say is get in touch and create yourself a trial environment. Most of you should have a work login email so you can easily sign up to Power Apps to have a trial for like 30 days for free. There are a range of things that we at HSO can do. We have a whole bunch of in-a-day trainings that come from Microsoft that we can help guide you through. So for example, there's a whole day on App in a Day. Now in that course, you go through every element of the Power Platform and you follow a script to create the basic little solution. There's also more tailored ones for such as Flow in a Day or even Administration in a Day if you find that your Power App usage is getting quite big. It helps you create a center of excellence. We also at HSO have a range of services that are outside of the App in a Day training. So we have bespoke solutions where we can agree a set period of time with you, a set number of days, and we can come in and we can help create an app to solve one of your problems. We have the pre-made packaged as well. So any of the 2 solutions that you've seen today, plus a raft of others, we can give you that as it is out of the box and we can help you plug in and start playing with it. And of course we have support. So if you're using Power Apps and you've built so far, but you're coming up and hitting a roadblock, give us a call. We'll help you out. So the ways to give us a call, you can email us at info-uk@hso.com, or you can call us on 020-3128-7767. Thank you very, very much for your attention. I hope you found something very useful. And thank you so much to Ashley and to Simon for giving such wonderful demonstrations.